Welcome to the Atlanta SEO for Local Businesses meetup. I'm here today with our other co-organizer, Andy Simpson. And again, I have posted information on our videos on YouTube, Facebook group, and meetup there in the chat. If you're watching this on YouTube, I will definitely post it, that information for you in the comments. Today, Andy is going to be talking about how to choose the next location for your business using local SEO. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn it over to Andy and let him go through it and tell you all about it.
Thank you, Tricia. I'm glad Amy's arrived because I was going to walk through this and practice it, but I was in a team meeting all morning, and I didn't really have time to verbalize. So this talk I presented about 2 weeks ago now. I was very lucky to be asked to speak at Local U, the local university. Joy Hawkins and the team head that up. So like I said, speaking alongside the likes of Greg Gifford and Lily Ray and the like. So very honored to be on the stage there. So let me get started. So I'll do the classic, can you see my screen and share my presentation? No. Share screen. That one, share. Okay, let's get the official nod if that
looks
we
can see
fantastic.
It. Okay.
So this is me. Let me get straight into it. Was there anything else I want to say? No. Okay. There's going to be a lot of and ahhing because, like I said, I haven't walked through it. I wish I had. I apologize, but here goes. So today I'm going to talk. So my opening slide. Now remember that there are some Colorado references here, and the speakers that are in the audience. I've cut out the stuff about one of my buddies that I used to work with, Dave. I've cut all those little jokes out. So I was going to use this slide, but while I was on vacation in July, I ended up doing this with my wife. So I've made this my lead slide, and I'm going to talk about this in a second, because obviously it's way cooler than the other slide.
Wait, is that you?
That is not Photoshop. That is me underneath a plane at 3.5.
Holy crap.
I will talk about it. I will talk about it in a second, Beth. So this is my slide. Anyway, so we're going to be talking about so this talk, it's not technical. It's not going to blow your brain with anything technical. It's not talking about content. It's talking about the local SEO skills we have already and using them to look for your next location, for your next, or even your current, you might have a new office you want to open. It's going to look at how we can decide where we should be opening an office. We're always talking about how we can rank in the local 3-pack or on Google Maps. We're always reading articles online. Now, this is a great article, by the way, so I'm not knocking this article in any way. But Miranda, she says 7 top ways to gain visibility. If you were to bring mine into play, there's actually 8 top ways to gain visibility. And what the thing is we don't look at is the location of where the next office is going to be. So this is pre-conception of your GMB, your office location. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Some of the skills I use to find that office location. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So let's get back to that wonderful picture of me. I would have given you a wave, but at the time I dared let go. So yes, that is me at 3,500 feet on the top of a biplane. I must stress that my wife did it first because it's on her bucket list for this year. She's 50 this year, so she had a bucket list. So she did this first, and then the plane landed, and then so the pilot you can see in the back. So this picture was actually taken. I'm doing the loop there. So the picture is taken while I'm in that position, just before you come back round and down. So obviously it makes a really good Facebook profile picture. And I can highly recommend it. You do it. It's in Squim in Washington. It's probably, we've done quite a lot of, no, you don't need to know all this. I just highly recommend it. It's mind blowing. Anyway, so let's get on with the talk. No, one thing I did tell people was I'm also from Leeds. I'm not from Australia. I'm not from South Africa. Some of you know, I do recognize some of the faces here, but if you don't know where I'm from the UK. I currently live in just outside Alpharetta in Georgia. But I'm from Leeds. You can see there, which is 200 miles north of London. So I'm classed as a northerner. So that's why I've got a little bit of an accent. Like I said, some people think I'm Australian. So that's where Leeds is. That's enough about me. Let's get into this. I want to start with a bit of a backstory, how I got to think about using this as a technique for our clients. So let me go back to 2016. Now, I worked at Martindale, which is a legal web, Martindale Hubble. Some of you may have heard of them. They're a legal marketing company that do lots of websites for clients across the country. I won't say any more about that, but I'm sitting there as an SEO specialist. We get an email, it says from a client, and they say, I'm sitting in a courthouse. Why am I not showing up when I do a search for injury lawyer? So on the left-hand side, you can see the screenshot that the client sent us. So you can see the blue dot there. The blue dot there is his location. When he just does a search for injury lawyer, he sees the 3 local companies closest to his location. Now, we're in New Jersey. This is in Ventura, California. My geography is getting better the more I live here in the US. Anyway, so we do a search from New Jersey, and we do injury lawyer Ventura, and we see him in the 3-pack. So the client in question at the time was Crane Flores. You can see the guy at the top there. So we're thinking, that's weird. Obviously, we can see it, so we can report back to the client and say, oh, you're reporting in the 3-pack when somebody does a search for injury lawyer. But when the searcher searches, they see the businesses closest to them. Now, a lot of what I'm sharing with you, we know, I'll get back. I'm jumping ahead of myself. So this led me to think maybe the searcher's location what you see in the 3-pack depends on the searcher's location. Now we know that. We know this now. But don't forget, this was, 6 years ago. This is 6 years ago when it was sort of in its early infancy, getting to think about this. So what I did a field trip with my friend at work, and we went, Morristown it was the closest city to us where we lived in New Jersey. And we did 5 different tests around the city looking for a divorce lawyer near me, divorce lawyer. And we recorded at those 5 different locations what the individuals saw in the 3-pack at those 3 different locations. And we found that depending on the prominence of the business, we found that there was different results in the 3-pack depending on where the searcher's location was, which led me to think, okay, searcher's location. Does it lead me to think of anything? Yes. So if a client now, like I said, I should have gone through this before, but blah, blah, blah. So for example, if a client now came to me and said, Andy, I want an office in Morristown, and I want to have the office in the south, where that S is, where you can see the pin on the screen. I want an office there. I know who's competitively ranking in the 3-pack in that location. So I might be able to advise saying, well, actually, you don't want an office there because of this competition. You actually want your office maybe a little bit to the east or to the west, because I know who's ranking in that position. So, somebody called, some of you will know Darren Shaw. He runs White Spark, which is an SEO company. In brief, sorry, Darren, that was a very short summary of what your company actually is. He showed in 2018, he did a conference in London where he showed that if he did searches along the high street, that he would get different. So he did different local searches as he walked down the high street, and he saw the 3-pack varying depending on how close or far away he was from the business. So again, the searcher's location mattered, and where the business was located near that searcher also mattered. It's also the local search ranking factors survey that comes out each year, which I'm lucky enough to be part of. And I think Amy's with us today. She's also part of it as well. So that's great, where we give feedback and factors and ideas of what's working in local search and what isn't happening in local search. But you can see there, we've highlighted that the proximity at 3 and 4, we're talking about location in some way, whether it be the searcher's location or the address of the business. So I did some local field tests. We saw Darren Shaw talking about it, who's respected in the local SEO world. Don't take my word for it. What does Google say about location? So in black and white, big G, how to improve your local ranking on Google. And it says there, when someone searches for your business or place near the location, so it's stressing location again. Also, how Google determines local ranking. 3 factors: relevance, distance, and prominence. Relevance being, I'm not going to read this out because we can all read, so I'm just going to click through what each one is. Distance, and then we've got prominence. How prominent is your listing? So what's the problem? What is Andy trying to get through to us? Now, being an SEO specialist for many a year, I've received a few of these emails. And this is an example email. This is not from a client. This is from a pretend. This is for legal reasons. I'm saying this. It's a disclaimer. This is just a pretend example email that we're looking at now. But it's classic. The client always tells you where the office is after the fact. They're saying, oh, we've got a new office, Andy. Add it to the website and send out that Google thing so we can now make it as a listing. So I think, no research has been done in an SEO way for that address. It's just given to us and we're expected to then make it rank. Okay. So as an SEO specialist, I think, okay, how is this a new address going to help this? Now, in my example, it's a personal injury lawyer because I work with personal injury lawyers all the time. So that going forward, it's a personal injury example. So I'm going to say, how is this address going to help them rank in this location locally in the 3-pack and on Google Maps? So what I would do, I'd take a copy of the address and Google it. And I'd see, okay, this location is downtown Oklahoma City. How many, because it's a personal injury, I'll say PI as well, because this is a PI firm, how many other PI firms are in that location? Because I'm now going to have to try and make this office rank appear locally. So I just do a search for personal injury lawyers, and I can already see that there's at least 2 other personal injury lawyers at that position, at that address, that location already. So I'm thinking, that's not a good sign. So I'll zoom in a little bit to that building, and I can now see there's actually 4 personal injury lawyers already in that building. And now there's going to be a 5th, which is this new address the client sent me. I click on Law Tigers, for example, and I can see that they've got 59 reviews. So take a drink and pause. I know. Now, don't remember, this is a brand new address. That client is moving in there with 0 reviews. So, pardon my French, but I'm not going to swear, but how the hell am I supposed to make a listing with 0 reviews rank well locally, a personal injury law firm rank well, when I'm going up against a company that's already at that location with 59 reviews? But the client signed the lease, he's done the deal. That's what I have to deal with. That listing has failed in at least 1, if not 2 of these factors. In this case, it's mainly prominence. They have no prominence. They have no reviews for that listing. because we're going up against that law tigers and the other firms there at that location. So that's where they failed, because they didn't come to their SEO first. That's why I was jumping ahead of myself. So how can you stop your SEO specialist from feeling like this? That was a movie reference slide for Greg Gifford, who does fantastic movie reference slides. I only included one, but I had to include that one just because it was Greg Gifford was in the crowd. So the solution. So what do we want to happen? Now, before I move forward, do remember, as SEOs, a lot of us here are marketing and SEOs where we think this is it. This is the primary thing we've got to think about. Remember, there are other factors that the client has to take into consideration when looking for an office location. But what we've got to try and get the client to think about is the last point there. Am I going to rank well locally based on this location? Maybe I should then contact my local SEO and speak to them about it. So remember, it's not all about local SEO and there's other things that clients thinking about. Sometimes the location they choose might not be the best for local search because of these other factors. But at least the client knows what to expect, how they will rank if they've spoken to you, the SEO specialist, about this. So ideally, I've got there, the client checks the address first on Google Maps. So I'm going to show you an easy example that we can all do very, very quickly to check an address. And then ideally, they SEO a specialist and say, I'm looking at these offices. I'm looking at, well, you can see there, I'm looking at an office. Where should I look? So I've got a client in Atlanta that said, Andy, they're in Atlanta at the moment and they want to move office. So they've given me the whole of the Atlanta area, surrounding area, to have a look for a new location for their office. And then we can narrow it down, looking at where their competition and things are. Okay. And then secondly, the client might come to you, they said they're working with a realtor or an agent, and they've said, look, we've come up with our top 3-5 addresses. Which one of these would be best to rank locally for local SEO? And then you can take that list and have a look at it. Right, let's move on to the quick and easy example. 10 examples. So what the client, that first email, it was this address. So we're going to look at this address. This is what the client should or could have done before signing a lease for $80,000, $100,000 a year for that office space or whatever it is, depending on where you are, city, etc. So this is what the client could have done before signing anything or moving into that bad location. So all they would have had to do, and this is the quick check. I use this check all the time. You just Google the address, and we know that the address appears at the top of Google search. You click on that, and it'll throw back this Google Street View and what's, the address and the location on the map. Fantastic. So there's the address, downtown Oklahoma City. And all you have to do is click on nearby. And then for my example, I'm a personal injury lawyer. So if I click on nearby, the top address bar clears and I would type in, I want to see all the personal injury lawyers around that location. So I'd whack in there personal injury lawyer or attorney, and I'd see Google would return on Google Maps all the personal injury lawyers in that surrounding area. So if a client had done this, it should be an immediate red flag to say, maybe I shouldn't move there because there's 4 other attorneys or PI firms in that building already. And if you look at and again, you come across to the left, and I can see that Tiger Law have got 59 reviews. So maybe that's not a good address to be moving into. Let me move on to the next address I was looking at for an office space, etc. So that's the quick and easy way. Do that all the time for clients. Client comes to me, got a new address. Is it good? Is it bad? The quickest thing I do is that's the quick test. But sometimes you require more than just the quick test. They might come to you with 3 or 4 locations, and some of those locations might be good, but I'm going to move on to that now. So my second example where is a client that's actually working with me. Again, this is a test example. It's not a real client, but these addresses are real, so you can do the searches yourself and do them afterwards, etc. But we're just going to focus on the first address, the 14902 Southwestern Avenue address. We're going to take that address there. Now, at the moment, I can do the quick check, the check I've just shown you how to do, where you just Google the address and see how many competitors are in the local area. So I've done that in this screenshot. But what I want to do now, I need to know more. I want to know what you can see if you're at that actual location. So if I do a search, I want to see what appears in the 3-pack for somebody who's in Oklahoma City. I want to see, the 3-pack and what the Google search results are. Now, again, this was based when I was in Denver. If I'd done a local search when I was in Denver and done personal injury lawyer near me, Google knows where I'm searching from. So in this case, it was Denver. Now it would be Atlanta, etc. But I want to make sure that when I do a local search, my search results are coming from the Oklahoma City area, or actually that office location. What do searchers nearby see, for example? Now, to get those results, I could drive all the way over to Oklahoma and do 10 minutes of testing and then drive all the way back. However, I don't think my boss would, I was going to say my boss wouldn't appreciate it, but my wife, who is my boss as well, but she wouldn't appreciate it either. Me just driving, 900 miles just to do 50 miles, not very economical. So what can I do? How can I find out what a local person in Oklahoma City, in this example, is seeing? I can fake my location. I can pretend to Google that I'm actually in Oklahoma City. Now, I'm not going to go into detail about that because this guy has already done a video to show you how you can fake your search location anywhere in the world, here in the United States. And in this example, I show you how to fake your search location in California. And then we move down to Florida, just to show that you can fake your search location anywhere in the country. That's the video. It's about 5 minutes long, shows you how to install the extension. So going forward now, my examples, I've installed the Chrome or Firefox extension, and I'm going to fake my location to Oklahoma City. To do a test to see if the extension is working, and then this is explained more in the video, I always do pizza near me, because I know the pizza stores around in my area where I live in Alpharetta, and I can see if I do pizza near me, Google will show me some results that I don't recognize. And if I check at the bottom of the search results, Google is saying you are searching from Oklahoma City. So now Google thinks I'm searching from Oklahoma City. So now I can do my from the office address that I'm testing for the client. We've come full circle. Look, from that address, I can do 3 different searches. I can do personal injury lawyer near me and look at the results. So the address, if you're looking at the screen on the map, the blue dot is that office location the client is thinking of moving to. They haven't signed anything. It's just those addresses they want me to check. So I can see that the competition on the map is up to the northwest, a few blocks away. Then I'll do personal injury lawyer, Oklahoma City. Now you'll see, can I switch back? These searches called implicit and explicit searches, where I include the name of the city and I don't include the city, because sometimes you can get very different local results. Not so much in this example, unfortunately, but you will see the map change when I do an implicit and an explicit search. And if you want to know more about what I'm going on about implicit and explicit, Danny Owens, wonderful lady, did a great post. The link's on that slide there. It really goes into detail. If you're doing local SEO and local searches, I would highly recommend that you do both local and explicit and implicit searches. And the other one I do, because of the popularity of the mobile phone, it's really taken off over the past couple of years, is the near me search. So I'll do a search personal injury lawyer near me. And all the time, I'm making a note of the competition and who is appearing in the 3-pack on the map pack on the right-hand side. So I'm making all those notes. So where was that going to go to? I don't know. So I can now see who the competition is. So really, if I'm looking at that office location as a local SEO, I know the client's thinking about moving there, possibly. The competition is up in the north. There's nothing to my right. There's nothing to my south. Now I know, and I'll show you how I know this in a second, that I'm in suburbia. That office is in suburbia. So maybe having an office there and then working on the number of reviews, I could be in quite a nice little area there for that part of Oklahoma City. Now, not only can I test what the office, so that's the office location, but I also want to see what a local who lives there will see. So search as the client or customer, search as the, I should have said customer there or slash customer. So search as the actual customer. So this slide, that 14902, that's the address, that's the office location that I'm testing. So there's the office location. And this area roundabout is suburbia. And I'm just going to, that blue dot there is just a random, I'm going to choose that area there where I know people live, potential clients, customers to that office location. If it was to move there, I can search from that. Again, I can fake my location and search from that location there. So I'm going to search from there. I'm going to zoom in so we can just see a row of houses there. I'm going to right click on that blue dot and choose what's here. And then Google again will throw back the address of that location. I'm just going to copy the address, paste it into, this is the Chrome extension. This is what it looks like on screen. I'm just going to paste, other extensions are available, by the way, but this one I find really quick and user-friendly, blah, blah, blah. I paste that new address into the fake location extension. And now I'm searching from, so if you look at the map, you'll see the red dot. No, that's not the red, sorry, the blue dot at the bottom. Now that's a new location. That's from where this potential new customer is searching from. And I'll do my personal injury lawyer, Oklahoma City, and I'll do my 3 tests again to see what they see. And again, all the competitions is in the north of that location. So my searcher is the blue dot. The new potential office is the red dot. So if I was to move an office there, again, it's possibly a good place for my personal injury lawyer to have an office. But obviously they have to work on their reviews, etc. Because all the competition is up in the north. And I can probably, well, I know because I've done more research into this, that more, I can gather, get all the people from more in that surrounding area there. It's very suburbia, which I'll get to now. How do I know it's suburbia? So what tools do I use? I also use, and most of these are free, bar one, which I'll get to in a second. Google Street View. Certainly for personal injury lawyers, sorry for going on about personal injury lawyers, but it's my world that I live in. Google really likes external signage and signage of that you've got an office in that building. So if I pull it down to Google Street View, I can see if that location has the possibility of good external signage. What's the curb appeal like of that office? Does it get a lot of passing traffic? Because I'll be able to see the highway nearby, and if it's just a suburb, is it a quiet road or a busy road? So again, I can actually see the building, the client was actually thinking of moving into. For example, external signage. One of the addresses I looked into a while back was the address of the Salvation Army. They had offices for lease, but there's no chance of having external signage. So even though the building might look good, you wouldn't know that there was a personal injury lawyer in that building because she had no chance of showing any external signage. So using Google Street View, a free tool, fantastic. I keep going on about, I know that area is in suburbia. I also use Google Earth a lot. I'm trying to, for me, because I know I'm not driving to Oklahoma City, I'm trying to get the best visual of that location for the client. So one of the tools I use is Google Earth. So let's just play through this video. All you do, you don't need to fake your location for this. You just paste in the address. You fly over. Some of you may have used this, but not used it for this particular reason. And I can actually look and think, okay, well, that's the office location. It's surrounded by fields, but if I just look around, I can see that the local area, I can zoom in. I can actually go to Street View again by zooming in even further. I can come back, move the camera around, Andy, a little bit. Thank you. And I can see I'm in a very suburban neighborhood. I've got the high school just a few blocks away. And I found all that out without leaving my desk. So I really like it as a free tool. I also, now this is a paid for platform. You buy credits. If you're doing anything in local SEO, you should be really familiar with Local Falcon. If it's not on your list of local SEO tools, it should be. Local Falcon, I'll just explain the joke. It was built by Jan, who works for Joy Hawk. So I never understood why Joy, he never called it Local Hawk and called it Local Falcon. It was a very in-house joke at the time in Colorado, and it's probably gone down like a lead balloon with my crowd that I've got in front of me. Trisha's laughing, I'll take it, and I hope Amy's laughing at me, probably. Anyway, so that's why it's called Local Falcon. It shows you, let's just go back to what this is. It shows you the position of your business locally in the local 3-pack and on Google Maps. It's not your organic listing, it's your ranking in the 3-pack or on Maps. So here, where I can see a client, my client's in the middle. Let's look at the left-hand slide. Client's in the middle, so they're ranking number 1 at that location in the 3-pack. But as they get further afield, I think that's a 15-mile grid, to be honest. As they get further afield, when they start hitting 4s and 5s and 6, 7, 8s, they've dropped out of that 3-pack, obviously, when they get to number 4. But that's their position on Google Maps. They're at number 7 or number 8 or number 9. Obviously, having lots of 1s, 2s, and 3s, even across a large area, is good for me because I know they're appearing in the 3-pack. So we've got good examples and bad examples left and right. What was I going to say about that? So what I use Local Falcon for is looking at the local competition. So going back to that example we were looking at a minute ago, where I could see my competition in the north of my business, I could run a Local Falcon, a local scan on those businesses to see how strong they were, how strong locally they were across the local area. So that's what I use Local Falcon for competitive analysis. This is a free extension, the PlePer Chrome extension. You can use it for many, many things in the local world. When I'm looking at the local competition, though, and the local area, looking at location of an office, this is what I use it for then. This is a screenshot. I was in the local area of Denver. So it's just it's the local area of Denver. I did a search for personal injury lawyers. And if you look on the bottom right-hand side, so when you've got the PlePer Chrome extension installed, this is what you'll see when you go to Google Maps, the blue thing on the list on the right-hand side. The thing I'm interested in is the review analysis at the bottom there, that bit. let me zoom in. I can see that if a client wanted to move into that area, there's a company there with a maximum number of reviews of over 1,300 reviews. So it immediately tells me it's a very, very competitive area. The average reviews is 157. Remember, if I'm moving there with a new office, I'm moving there with 0 reviews, and that's what I'm up against. So it's a quick way of looking at your competition in a particular local area. Now, am I moving on to now? I thought I was going to move on to another slide. I also use websites to tell me about the city or the location of that new office. Again, I'm trying to build up without moving or going to Oklahoma City in this example. It can be anywhere, obviously, in the United States. I want to know as much about that city. I'm going to try and learn as much about that city, the population, etc. I want to learn as much as possible for that client, for that location. So I use the United. So here's 3 or 4, and I'll show you the favorite one I have at the end. A heat population map, so you can quickly see the density across the city. It just gives me a quick visual reference of where the population is. Doesn't work so well in Oklahoma City. I think it was all the same shade. So I chose a much more exciting city of Los Angeles for this example. So these tools don't work every time. You can just pick and choose which ones you might want to use. I was looking for an office in Los Angeles, and that's why I used this office to say, well, yes and no, that's very heavily populated, blah, blah, blah. Livability score, is it a good neighborhood where they're thinking about moving to, good schools, good industry, good. So this is a good places to live in that city, might be a good place to open an office or a store or a shop or whatever you're thinking about opening. Again, more zip code data tells me the school's performance. You can see again on the left-hand side the sort of information it's giving me. More town locations, the URLs for each one are the bottom right-hand side. So I keep going back to Oklahoma because that's the example I've been using during this talk. This was a new one I found online. You can see 2207. It actually shows you the percentage change in housing units by county. So I can just click around and find the county my client's moving into and have they had an increase or decrease in housing units. So is it a developing area or not? Again, all the URLs are there. And then I think my favorite, so this is my favorite one for building, again, that picture up of the local area. datausa.io. You can see there's some examples of the screenshots and the maps and the zones. And it's very visual, gives you a very quick, easy way of understanding what's going on in that city or town. I really like, this is my go-to one. And then the other ones are like, they're there if they want to. If I want to have a look at a little bit more. It's a great website. Now, the GBP bomb. I'm going to finish. I'm coming up to a conclusion. My examples were all looking at opening up a new office, which is going to have 0 reviews. But you can also use it if you've got an office or a business and you want to move it. You just want to move it to the other side of the town or north of the city or south of the city. And you're taking an existing business already, which might have 12, 15, 20 reviews. You might be taking that and moving it to a very competitive area. So you might when you move office, you might shoot yourself in the foot and actually move to a really competitive area. So again, you can use the same skills we've gone through here to move an office, which might have 12, 15, 20, 30 reviews. Again, you can look at the local competition. If you then move next door to a client that's got a business that's got 120 reviews and you're of the same industry, again, you might have decided, well, actually, I won't move there. I'm going to move a mile down the street or something. So my examples previously, not just for new reviews, but also if you were thinking about moving an office, which brings me onto the GBP bomb. Now, what is the GBP bomb? If you Google it, so I've got to laugh because Trisha knows that. If you Google GBP bomb, this is what it returns. And if you want to read the 10,000 word white paper document that I did on it, just go to that URL there about explaining in more detail what the GBP bomb was. So that is it. It's basically what it is, it's a really, really strong business listing that dominates the local area. You've got head and shoulders, you are the strongest listing in that town or city. And then they decide to move. So you know that if you move that business anywhere, left, north, south, east, or west, or wherever, you're going to dominate that local area. And what I've said there, you're going to blow the competition out of the water. It doesn't matter that you're moving to an area where the client's got 50 reviews or 120. You're moving a listing with 350 reviews. So you're immediately going to place that business there and just blow the local company. You're going to annoy a lot of people by moving your business to that location. And that's what the GBP bomb was. Full disclaimer, that website doesn't exist, but the URL does. Have a follow that link, maybe a bit of a laugh. And if you Google it, that doesn't appear. It's all Photoshop. It's just it was just a funny example of how explaining what the GBP bomb is or was. So I use local Falcon. So very quickly, I've got local Falcon, killing it locally. So I can see that's across 15, 20 mile a grid reference. So I can see that I'm dominating across the area. And if I move it anywhere, I'm going to dominate. I'm going to move those ones and twos further north, further south, east, or west. And I can't remember my reference to the slide on the right-hand side. Yes, they're strong for some things. So maybe that was on the left-hand side, that was personal injury lawyer, and they dominate across 15 miles. Car accident lawyer, not so much. They're still strong centrally and east and west, but they're not so strong because of the local competition up there in the south and the north, in the north and the south. But I know if I move that business further north, those ones and twos are going to follow with me. Yeah. But the sixes and the sevens and the threes, fours, fives are going to increase more in the south. So that's what that slide on the right-hand side was. To summarize, work with your client. Now, this example is a client working with me. It's my Oklahoma client. I do have one. Those addresses were all test examples. They've sent me this screenshot and said, Andy, the blue actually says no house. And the left, it says, it took me ages to actually work out what it said. A lot of houses on the left-hand side. So he's telling me the population of where he wants to look. And is this a good area or is this a bad? I don't want to look here, no houses. I want to look here. So this is me working with the client before they do anything else. This is an example of I've got a client in Kansas City. I've zoned good and bad areas surrounding Kansas City. And this is one of the creatives I gave to the client, along with some competitor analysis of people that might be in that area. Okay, again, it's just a visual so the client can make sense of it easier. So to summarize, check the address first, speak to your local SEO specialist if you're a business and you're thinking about moving your current office or opening up a new office. Check with your local SEO specialist. The skills, in quotes, I've gone through today, all local SEO specialists should know and have. So none of this is rocket science. It's just that we're not asked to do it for a client when a client moves. Well, we are, as digital law market, our clients ask us. But, your client just moves and says, oh, I've just moved office. And we've gone through all that. And make sure your client doesn't sign anything without doing the above. The reason I've used kittens, Greg Gifford, got to get this in. If you've ever seen a Greg Gifford presentation, he always says bullet points kills kittens. I needed to use bullet points. I had Greg Gifford in the audience, 10 feet away from me. So I countered his bullet points killed kittens by using kittens as bullet points. And as I've said there, no kittens were harmed during the making of this presentation. I thank you all.
Thank you so much, Andy. So let's open it up for questions. I think one of the biggest takeaways is to just talk to your clients. If you're an agency and you've got SEO clients you're working with, talk to them and just let them make sure they're aware that you're there to help them and that this is something they need to come to you before making any of those decisions, signing anything. If you're a business, it's something that you need to make sure that you do. You talk to your local SEO person before, again, making any decisions as far as moving or opening additional locations and before signing anything. So
that was the sort of thing, even on the day of the conference afterwards, I was having SEO specialists coming up to me and says, you know what, the first thing I just did is email my client and say, if you're ever thinking about moving, let me know. And one young lady in the crowd had her client back. Well, actually, we were thinking about doing that in the new year. And now it's started that conversation with the saying, let's look at this area, let's look at this area. So just reach out to your clients as soon as you can and say, if you ever think about moving, don't forget to come to us as well. And we can see if that location works for you in local search.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. And let's see, I did try to go ahead and put quite a few of the links in the chat. So you guys can take a look at that. I'm going to try to have the video up by Friday, hopefully sometime Friday. And I've got that link on there as well for our YouTube channel. And I'll put it in the meetup as well. So any messages or questions, and go ahead and let me know. We can come on here and do them or put them in the chat.
Or questions about wing walking or anything like that, if you want.
Yeah.
I see David's got a picture of an aeroplane in the back. It's making me nervous. He's making.
Yeah. Better you than me on that upside down on the airplane. Ooh. Yeah. So.
Nice. Classic.
Yes. So, okay, I don't see any questions. Okay, David says it's a Lancaster bomber. Okay, well, he's in Canada. Wonderful. So since any other questions about this, I know Andy went over a ton of great information. I mean, a lot of it's information you pretty much kind of got right there. You just have to put it all together when the client comes to you. And main thing is making your client aware of this.
100%. It's not rocket science. It's skills that we know already. It's just
putting them to good use.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just hit me up on just as they say, hit me up on Twitter if you want to reach. Or LinkedIn or whatever you want. Well, not LinkedIn. Reach to me on Twitter if you're on Twitter. LinkedIn if you're not on Twitter.
Yeah, and he's let me see if I got that right. Oops, no, I didn't. I'm putting it's not the full link, but that's your username.
Yeah, the A is silent.
The A is the @ yes. Andy J. Simpson. So that's how you can find him on Twitter. And so if there aren't any questions, I just wanted to remind you all that to go ahead and follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and you all should all have our meetup information. I've got all that I put earlier in the chat for you. And definitely make sure you tune in next month, Wednesday, September 14th. Amy Toman is going to be here presenting.
Who's here somewhere?
Yeah, she's here today. She's going to be here next month. She's going to talk about some local SEO myth busting. So that's going to be really good. So definitely make sure you join us then. And that's all for today. Thank you all so much for joining, and we will see you next month.
Thank you all.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.